Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Matt Bernier. The DRFBets Race of the Day for Saturday, March the 16th is the second division of the Rebel Stakes. It's a Grade 2 worth $750,000 and it is a very important Kentucky Derby prep, perhaps even more so because it features the return of two-year-old champion Game Winner. It is a sensational card at Oaklawn on Saturday, but you're going to want to get up early and not miss out. Because if you're an existing DRFBets member, you have a first post bonus. Bet $25 to win on one horse in race number 1 at Oaklawn on Saturday. Get a $10 bonus. Find out more at drf.com/preps. Let's meet the field for the second division of the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes. You can access free Formulator Pass performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. We'll take this field in post position order, beginning with the number 1, the Keeneland graduate Market King. And Market King, Matt, has already won over course and distance at this meet for Mr. Lucas. Beaten, though, last time out when facing winners for the first time. One thing's pretty much for certain. I think John Velasquez is going to be real aggressive from the inside post.
Yeah, 100% agree with that, especially considering that most recent run came on the turn back in distance. Now we stretch back out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th. I think it's going to be interesting to see how far this horse can go and ultimately how fast they go early on. I think there's some other honest speed in here. If you like a horse coming from off of it, I think you should have every opportunity. No
matter where Market King finishes on Saturday, keep an eye out for an eventual surface switch to turf. He's by Into Mischief out of a half-sister to Divine Proportions, a multiple Group 1 winner, one of the better milers in France over the past 10-15 years. Maybe Market King will be a nice turf horse down the road for these connections. The number 2 is Laughing Fox, and boy, Laughing Fox has just loved life since being stretched out around 2 turns for trainer Steve Asmussen. Just a nice win last time out. He did get the right pace scenario, but he might get another one in the Rebel.
Yeah, he got a big pace to run at that day, and really, when you go back and look at the tape, he had a pretty perfect trip in the grand scheme of things, being able to split after sitting on the rail basically throughout. I just like how visually game he was at the end of it. There was another horse that ranged up on him down the lane, and sure, maybe that horse got a little bit tired, but I thought Laughing Fox dug in quite gamely. But you brought up the big thing. He could very easily get a similar setup like he did in that most recent non-winners of 1 other than, and I love that he's a perfect 2 for 2 at this distance.
And really the distance, no surprise that he has improved. He is a son of Belmont Stakes winner Union Rags, the Dam a 4-time stakes winner on a synthetic surface. The number 3 is Parsimony, and this horse is still a maiden going out for trainer Doug O'Neill, but Doug is going to do some different things with this horse. He's going to move from turf to dirt. He's going to add blinkers, and that has been a very positive move for this barn over the past few years. We'll take a look at a formulator fact for the number 3, Parsimony, and we see that over the past 4 years with 3-year-olds moving from turf to dirt and adding blinkers, O'Neill's at 43%, 10 of 14 on the board, a $2.78 ROI. Now, this horse has raced on dirt with blinkers in the past. He just happened to catch a very tough field. Baffert's Roadster beat him. The 3rd place, he came back to run 3rd in the Delmar Futurity. Parsimony in that race actually finished ahead of Gunmetal Gray.
I was going to say, I mean, look, this is not a bad little horse. I think he's in very tough in a spot like this, even with a nice formulator fact like that in your back pocket. But you have to look at it and say these connections have taken big shots in the past. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. I look at this horse and wonder, ultimately, I know he ended up running fine at that mile and an 1/8 most recently. I have a funny feeling he's going to be better going slightly shorter. And you know what? Again, at the end of the day, I think he's going to need to go through, graduate first, and then take on better horses.
Wonder if he'll end up being kind of a synthetic turf horse down the road. He's a half to Lovely Loy Ree, a multiple stakes winner on the grass. Dam was stakes place synthetic routing. This horse cost $400,000. Not bad for a Dominus. And the number 4, Jersey Agenda, cost $250,000. Not bad for one of your favorite horses, the stallion Jersey Town. Formulator fact for Jersey Agenda's trainer Steve Asmussen over the past 3 years. 3-year-old dirt routers going 3rd off the layoff in graded stakes at Oaklawn, 5 of 7 on the board, almost 30% winners, a 5.19 ROI. This horse took some wise guy money in the Grade 3 Southwest, Matt, was part of the pace and then tired pretty badly. Maybe he can make the lead from Market King this time around. That's what Timeform US is hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's possible. There's a part of me, though, that looks at it and says he shouldn't have folded as badly as he did in that Southwest. When the real running started, he just dropped anchor. There was nothing there. Now, if you want to go back to that run 2 starts back and say, you know what, that's more representative than what that Southwest Stakes was, then you know what? I'm not going to argue with you at a giant price. But based on that most recent run and the quality of the Southwest, I'm against him.
Rider switch to Jose Ortiz. Timeform US's pace projector has the source on the lead, albeit with a red bar indicating that he might have to go fast to do so. As with Market King, I love this horse's eventual turf pedigree. While he is by Jersey Town, this dam is a full sister to Risk Averse, a multiple Grade 1 stakes winner, and a half to Cozy Corner, a graded winner on the turf. Maybe another one to watch down the road. The big story of this race, obviously, is undefeated 2-year-old champion Game Winner, the number 5, making his seasonal debut for the great Bob Baffert, coming off his win in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. While he did defeat 3 next out winners in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, that race did come back slow from a buyer's standpoint. Actually, the race was run slower time than the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies on the same card.
Yeah, to be honest with you, initially I didn't love that field, and as more and more time has gone by, I have no reason to believe otherwise. I don't think the Breeders' Cup last year was very good as far as the juveniles are concerned. He is definitely the horse to beat. There's no denying that. And he's the kind of horse, if you believe the figures that he earned as a 2-year-old and that sort of natural progression to 3, he should move forward. And heck, even if he doesn't move forward, if he just replicates the American Pharaoh from a number standpoint, he's probably going to win. There's a part of me that believes if you're going to take a shot against him, maybe Saturday's the day. Coming off that long layoff, we haven't seen him since the beginning of November, and all the things that have been going on in Southern California. Again, he's the most likely winner of the race, but if you're going to take a shot against, I think Saturday might be the time.
I'm a lot more bullish. Baffert usually doesn't waste bullets in the lead up to a race like the Kentucky Derby, and this horse, while not as brilliant as many of Baffert's prior horses that he's shipped to Oaklawn Park, he's more of a blue-collar special. He's a horse that shows up, he does everything professionally, he kind of grinds out his wins, and while the Breeders' Cup Juvenile wasn't exactly fast, it was a 93 Beyer speed figure, certainly competitive enough with this race, and Rosario had him about 4 wide every step of the way, took a good bump from Knick's Go in the stretch, and he kept right on going. You mentioned it. He's the horse to beat. He can adapt to any kind of pace scenario. He's obviously very talented. The 6 is Omaha Beach. Now, Omaha Beach was your classic money burner in his first 4 races in Southern California. He was bet down to 13-10 or less in all of those races and lost every time, and just about when everybody was ready to give up hope, he wins by 9. Omaha Beach is a horse that might be living up to his pedigree. I have to take charge brandy.
So here's the interesting thing for me with this horse. I didn't like him at all going into that last race because of what you laid out. He just continued to lose races that I didn't think he had any business losing. To me, the difficult thing to make a determination, I don't think he beat anything in that race most recently, but more importantly, that was over a sloppy sealed track. So did he adore that, or kind of my sort of working hypothesis is that was his only time going 1 turn. I know on pedigree why he's supposed to run all day. I wonder if he just loved life out there. He went out there and just absolutely dropped the hammer. They went 43 and change for a half mile, and he went off and looked like $1 million. We'll find out on Saturday. I do wonder if we're at one of those weird points where maybe this horse is better going 1 turn as opposed to 2.
I think that's a good point. I do like this horse's tactical speed. I think that Mike Smith's going to try to get forward with him early, maybe sit off the 1 and the 4, get the jump on Game Winner turning into the stretch, but we'll find out how far he wants to go. We'll also find out if ultimately he's a turf horse. He's a full to a Group 1 placed horse in Europe, and he's by the turf-loving stallion Warfront. Number 7 is Our Brain Trust. Our Brain Trust earned a uber competitive Beyer speed figure last time out in the Grade 3 Withers. 95 Beyer. It got a giant time form US figure as well. I'm still skeptical. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, I was very skeptical exiting the Withers, and then even with those 2 horses last weekend in the Tampa Bay Derby coming back to earn 86 Beyers, it just to me feels still kind of like go out there and prove it to me. I do like the fact that the blinkers go on here for Mark Casse. I think this is a horse that I like that he fought on down the lane in the Withers and he didn't pack it in. He could be one of those instances. Andy Beyer could be laughing at all of us after the race on Saturday, looking at it saying, highest last out Beyer in the field. He was a slam dunk, and you might get $10 on him. I just want to see him prove it to me that that was actually legit.
I understand the blinker move because it looked like he was running right by those horses turning into the stretch. Looked like he lugged in, bumped off another horse, then just couldn't go by. Maybe hung a little bit and needs more focus with the blinks. The fact that he couldn't pass Not That Brady, though, a horse that I think that's a little distance challenged at 1 1/8 that worries me. He should appreciate a slight cutback in distance here. What's great about Formulator is sometimes you have differing Formulator facts. Here's a bad one with Casse with blinkers. Past 5 years, 3-year-olds on dirt, blinkers on 4%, 52-cent ROI. In your excellent piece in our Kentucky Derby guide on DRF.com, you found a much better statistic.
Yeah, and like you say, you can really just go through and find basically, I don't want to say find whatever you want, but it's easier to find certain things that can make sort of sense for you. Past 5 years, first time blinkers, route races, and graded stakes, 4 for 13 with a 326 ROI. So again, which one do you really want to make a call on? That's up to you as the handicapper.
If the pace is blazing, let's not sleep on the 8. Gunmetal Gray. This is a colt who's as honest as the day is long. He did not beat maybe the strongest field in the Grade 3 Sham 2 starts back, but he showed what he could do when you give him pace and you allow him to get clear of traffic turning into the stretch. Last time out, he was beaten by a perfect trip winner in Mucho Gusto, who simply had a 3-4 length jump on the horse turning into the stretch, and you're not going to run down Mucho Gusto, a horse of that quality, when you have that sort of advantage. I think Gunmetal Gray is the kind of horse that's going to appreciate the surface at Oaklawn. Maybe those tracks at Santa Anita, a little hard for him in Southern California. Gunmetal Gray paired up buyers in his last 2. I'm expecting a forward move. He should get the pace.
I feel like honest is the best way to describe this horse. I don't think he's brilliant. I don't think he's particularly fast right now, but I think he's just going to show up and give you what he's got. And like you said, if the pace ends up working out the way the Timeform US sort of projects it will, I have no reason to believe he won't be plugging along at the end. The question becomes, is he this good to run with the likes of Game Winner and anyone else that may jump up?
9 Kazaringa, 50-1 on the morning line. Checked out of it last time out. Lost all chance in that non-winners of one other than race. I won't hold that against him, but he didn't do any running in the Springboard Mile 2 starts back. With this pedigree, it's too early to give up on him. And even sometimes with horses with big pedigrees, all you need is that equipment change for the light bulb to go on. So the blinkers are going on here. This dam was a multiple Grade 2 stakes winning dirt rider. She has already foaled horses like Team Colors, multiple Grade 3 placed, and Lucky Cover, a stakes winner on the turf. That being said, this horse has to improve by leaps and bounds.
I was going to say, no matter what the pedigree may suggest, and like you say, perhaps the blinkers are the thing that wakes this one up. Right now, he's just way too slow to win a race like this.
And I made the 10 Captain Von Trapp a horse watch on a recent episode of Out of the Gate. I've really liked the improvement this horse has shown with the addition of blinkers. Just didn't think coming off the non-winners of 2 life win, Asmussen would throw him to the wolves in the Rebel. He's got a nice pedigree. His dam's a half to a Grade 1 place rider named She's Got the Beat. I'm going to keep an eye on this horse down the road. I think it might be too tough on Saturday.
Yeah, it may be a little bit too much too soon here in a spot like this, but again, like you say, this is a horse that is still relatively lightly raced and really hasn't done anything wrong. Even if he doesn't run well here on Saturday, this is probably a little bit too much for him this early. I'd give him another chance down the road.
But if he wins, the sound of music will be ka-ching because he will be a gigantic, gigantic price. Time for our top selections for the second division of the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes. You're going with Laughing Fox. You love what this horse has done around 2 turns. I like this inside post position. I don't think he needs to be 100 lengths out of it. Ricardo Santana Jr. has fit him like a glove thus far.
And really, I mean, we've seen it a number of times when you see a pedigree that would suggest, oh, distance is what he wants, and all of a sudden he's stretched out to 2 turns for the first 2 times, and he's a perfect 2 for 2. You know what? I think there's something to that. You need to look at that from time to time. The interesting thing is going to be to see, can he replicate that most recent run? Because really, that's a little bit of an outlier right now. That run 2 starts back was solid, but not nearly good enough to be competitive in a race like this. If you believe that most recent N1X run, which again, the 3rd place finisher was the next out winner with an 84, and you had another decent figure come out of that from farther back in the pack, I'm going to hope that he can get the pace that he needs, that he can come with the run. And again, if you're going to beat Game Winner, I think this might be the opportunity. And even having said that, he's far and away the most likely winner.
10-1 on the morning line for your top selection, the 2 Laughing Fox. Give me some numbers.
2, 5, 7, 8.
I think Game Winner's too good. I think Baffert's going to have him cranked and ready to go. First time off the layoff. We've seen it before, especially at Oaklawn Park. I'm going 5, 7, 6, 2 in the Grade 2 Rebel Stakes, the second division of the Rebel. And again, remember, bet the first race at Oaklawn on Saturday. This is if you're an existing DRFBets member. First post bonus. Bet $25 to win on 1 horse, any horse in race number 1. You get a $10 bonus. DRF.com/preps is where you need to go for all the details. Approximate post time for Game Winner's return to the races. Race number 10 at Oaklawn on Saturday, 6:06 Central. Best of luck.